Well, this is going to be one of the last videos of this kind I'm going to be doing for a little while. They take a lot of energy, and I really kind of want to get back to doing regular old reviews and doing discussions with people. And I have been doing that, and I'm still going to be doing that. And also, there are some other projects I want to work on that I'm actually hoping to do. I'm actually hoping to start one next week, but there's other projects I'm really wanting to work on. So yeah, I'm going to be taking a break from these types of videos for a little while. But don't worry, they'll come back eventually. Just after this one, I'm just going to be taking a little break. Hello everyone, Britton here, also known as Samoki Dude, and today I'm coming with a new video. I was going to put out this video last Friday, but then some stuff came up, and I just wasn't really in the mental headspace where um, I would be able to make any videos. And I knew that if I tried to force myself to do it, I think most of the people who would have watched it would have known, or maybe they not, or maybe not. I don't know. But I didn't want to risk it. I didn't want to let down my beloved audience, and I decided to save it for this Friday. So even though I'm recording it on Thursday, anyway, I'm getting off topic. So yeah, I'm doing another one of these kind of discussion videos. This is kind of a part two to my why I read video that I made a few months back. I'll link that down below for anyone who's curious about that video. It did pretty well. There was a lot of really great comments on that video. I actually started that video after I watched Jordan or iWizard's video about objectivity in art, and I thought it would be interesting to make. I was originally going to make a response to that, and then I thought, eh, I didn't really think I had anything really to say aside from what I already said when we had our conversation on my podcast, which I really enjoyed that episode. And but I did see another one of his videos, where he talked about why he started reading, and it really got me thinking. And again, this is another one inspired by Jordan, so thank you, Jordan, for inspiring this video. Um, but yeah, it really made me go deeper into thought about what I look for when I read. A lot of people have asked me what I look for when I read. Friends, viewers, readers of mine on Goodreads. And it seems like it's an easy question at face value, but it's a really hard one for me because it's hard for me to be simple about these types of things. I just can't do it. And also it always seems to be changing the more that I think about it. I mean, I'll say I'm a character driven reader at one point, and then I'll read something that isn't necessarily character driven that blows me away in the same way that all my favorite books have. I mean, I wouldn't call Blood Meridian, for instance, a particularly character driven story, but I mean, there's some interesting characters in the story, but that's not really the main focus of the book. And what do you know? It's one of my favorite books of all time. But I found that one thing overall that I mean, I can't say that I found that there's one thing overall that entices me as a reader. I mean, there are things I can mention, like having great, deep characters, meaningful, deep themes that are well developed and explored throughout the story, the singularity of the vision of the author, which is something I talk about a lot. I was on Jordan's channel, yesterday, as of the recording of this video, we were talking about it, and Kyle from Read by Kyle was with us. He's a really cool guy. Um, and we talked a little bit about that, but that's also something I look for. And great prose that makes the settings feel alive. Kind of like the cinematography of the novel, if you will. Thanks, Jason. But I find that's too simple. I mean, they're helpful for sure. They are helpful for making a great experience for me, but it's not enough when I think about what I want out of a book. I mean, you could probably call me grandiose or just get to the point already, or you're thinking about this way too much. I've heard it all, but I find that reading a great book can be very sublime, almost like a spiritual experience. Hopefully, that's not too dramatic, but that's kind of how it feels sometimes. But to get to the point, to use an example of what I look for when I read, there's a scene at the beginning of Christopher Nolan's film The Prestige, which is a fantastic film, one of Nolan's best, if anyone hasn't seen it. Michael Caine's character is explaining to this little girl at the beginning of the movie about how magic works, or, well, magic, it's really illusions. Um, and to get to the point, the main idea that Caine's character is getting at is when people go to see a magic show, they go there because on some level they want to be fooled. And I remember when I watched The Prestige again not too long ago, it was like a light bulb went off in my head. You know, like in the cartoons when like the character is like thinking of a solution and like the light goes off and they're like, "Ah, yes." It was like that. And I was like, "Ah, yes, that's it. That's exactly how it is when I'm reading and what I look for and what I want out of a book." Because I find that consuming storytelling in all of its forms, whether it be a book, a film, a video game, a comic book, whatever, it is a magic trick ultimately. And we all read, watch, play, consume because on some level, we all want to be fooled. And I find that the best books that I've ever read are the ones that take me along for the ride on such a level where I forget my critical mind. And it's a very rare experience indeed. That's why I tend to be really picky about when I give 5 stars to, because I think that a 5 star book is a very rare thing. And, I mean, they're special, but I get it. I'm getting ahead of myself. When I read a book, I engage in conversation with many of them, or that's how I view it, in a figurative sense anyway. And there have been plenty of really good books that I've read where I never could fully turn off that critical part of my brain, and that's okay. There's still a lot of really good books that are really good, and I didn't turn off that part of my brain. And I like them. I've reviewed plenty of those books on this channel, and there are several books that I've really, really enjoyed that I couldn't fully turn that part of my brain off, and that's kind of, and that's fine, not every book is going to fully do it for you. And that's why I think that the special books are special. Because I hate to sound obvious, but if every book is special, then none of them are. I mean, that's it. That's why, it's been kind of to kind of go off the cuff a little bit. It's been kind of frustrating this year. I've been having a bit of a frustrating time with reading this year because I've been reading a lot of really good books. And there was one really great book that I read, and that was Kindred by Octavia Butler, which I read with my good friend Darko, who will link down below to our conversation if you want to watch it. Though we spoiled the whole thing, so go read the book first. And I really haven't found a lot of those. I generally, like, once a year, like, I'm not kidding, I'll find, like, I'll find maybe 2 or 3 books, maybe sometimes 4 or 5, that are genuinely exceptional. That are just books that were like, wow, this did everything that I love. This did this for me. It did all of those things that I mentioned before. And they just have not been doing it for me. There are even books that have been hyped to me that I read, like Knock 'em Stiff I read earlier this year, which I liked. I think is a good book. My friend Jason recommended it to me, but I don't know if it was the magical book experience that Jason described it as. Now, I understand that me and Jason are different people. We look for different things when we read, and again, like I say, maybe my standards are a bit too high. That's always certainly a possibility, and I've certainly faced that before. But when I read a book, I want it to be exceptional. Like that's again, that kind of goes back to that. Kind of go back. I think maybe that's me just holding books to a higher standard. And again, there are plenty of really good books that I've read where I never fully turned off that part of my brain. There have been plenty of really good books that I've read this year, books that I have really liked, books that have left a effect on me, but they don't get. I don't feel that they're exceptional enough to get that 5 star. That's the snag. Because I really have to think, like, does this book really... And even Kindred. I had to debate with myself if Kindred was a 5-star book before I finally made up my mind and decided, yes, this book was so original, so singular, and so meaningful to me and to plenty of other people that it has to be a 5-star. And I gave it to it. And that's the only 5-star book that I have given this year. Now, again, it is only May. I could read a bunch of books, and there are plenty of books that I'm reading right now, like Susanna Clarke's Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. There's also books I hope to read a little later this year, like Gormenghast and Power of the Dog. Shout out to Yolanda. I'm going to definitely be reading that. And, there's plenty of books I hope to read this year that will blow me away in the same way that many of these great books I've talked about have blown me away. But yeah. been tough, guys. It's tough. That's always the thing about being a reader, is that not every one of them are going to to land for you, even when you really want them to. And it's really weird. I hope that my weird rambly that I went on made sense to you guys. Apparently, Dee really likes when I go off the cuff, so I hope she enjoyed that. But yeah, it's kind of all I got for today. There's a lot, I've just been kind of on my little. I mean, I spend a lot of time by myself, so I really have no excuse to so I sit around and think a lot. So that's kind of why these videos end up getting made, because I need to get them out there, and I like hearing from other people and hearing their thoughts. So if you guys have any thoughts on this video, or if you want to share what you like to do or what you look for when you read, let me know down in the comments. I'd love to hear from you guys. I always love hearing from you guys in the comments. I love interacting with you guys. Now, I'll admit, I am not the best at answering them all the time, but I do enjoy getting them. I love reading them. I love watching people engage with my videos. So, yeah. That's all I got for today. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. You can find me on different social medias, such as Twitter. You can find me on Twitter. You can find me on Goodreads and Letterboxd, which I write reviews that are probably more coherent than the one you just heard right now. You can also find me on Discord. You can hang out with me on there. I got a Discord page. I'll link them all down below. And like I said before, if you want to talk about what you look for when you read, let me know. I would love to hear from you guys. So yeah, that's all I got for today. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Until next.